wraps up everything that you have been looking at in the play and the murder mystery the entire time. So every word is important. But I did not know all of the lines exactly yet because I've been studying for 5 different tracks. The nice thing about the play that goes wrong, though, is that even when you call somebody the wrong name and say something completely out of the story, which I definitely did, nobody knows because it's the play that goes wrong and they think it's part of the show. So it was definitely exactly how I meant to do it. Most of my professional experience has actually been with swinging or understudying. I was a swing with the Billy Elliot National Tour, the second national tour, and they first told me that I'd cover 12 male tracks, which didn't end up happening in the end. But at first, I think you can imagine it was very daunting thinking I had to learn 12 different parts of 12 different guys. Then I went on to the Kinky Boots National Tour, and I was able to be an on-stage presence as well as understudying some principal roles. So that was actually really exciting too. This is the first time I've understudied such massive characters, though, with a real opportunity to kind of make them different and shine in each of their different ways. Rehearsals as an understudy can look different depending on the show, depending on which company you're with, sometimes depending on your director. I've been really fortunate in my experience in all of my understudy work to actually have some real hands-on time with the understudy tracks, which you don't always get. In this particular show, it's sitting in the house, it's sitting in the audience. We were lucky enough to have our entire rehearsal process be with our set and on the stage. And so I was able to sit in the house, and every time they gave a direction, they gave a new blocking note, I was able to take notes in my script and make sure I had something separate for each individual character. This particular job is different because each of the 5 different roles that I cover are very different characters. And so I really get a unique opportunity to not only be a working actor in New York City, but each time I go on, or each time I'm looking at one of the different tracks that I cover to kind of refresh my memory, I get to flex my acting muscles a little bit also. So I get to figure out what it is to be the big blustery guy, and then what it is to be the timid, meek person. And so I really get to have fun with these big, meaty things that I'm on stage all the time. The entire show, each of these principal characters is an integral part of the story, and it's such an ensemble piece that every time I go on, it's really a unique experience with the combination of people that are on the stage. I usually do what a lot of actors do with their scripts is I color code the different characters that I do. So I have highlighters that I highlight each individual character in a different color, and I'll also highlight even the stage directions or the things that I'm writing down in each particular character that they do, so that I can look back on that later and say, okay, even though he doesn't have any lines here, I know he has to go over there and pick up the glass from the table, and so I have to really be able to see it in a big picture so I can understand what to do individually for each track. One of the last things that I do before I go on stage is meditate. I like to kind of remember the reason that I got into this business in the first place, and there's so many nerves that can come up, especially if you don't know when you're going to go on, or maybe you haven't had much experience with that particular track, and that can really kind of mess with your mind a little bit. So I like to remind myself that I'm doing what I love to do, but I also meditate to kind of clear my mind and release all of the stuff that I can't control. I know that I have prepared. Preparation is key for me. As long as I've done all of the things that I know I can do, everything else is in the hands of the theater gods. So I let them take control. I let the audience kind of feed me. I let the energy of the actors kind of feed me, and I let whatever happens happen. I found it a little bit challenging to find exactly what works for me for my routine and staying ready. With this particular show, there's a lot of physicality and a lot of stunts. And so I actually do yoga every single day. I find that not only does it help with my meditation and my spiritual and kind of like helping clear my mind, but also just the strength that you get, the strength and the flexibility that is required for each and every role that I cover. It's very easy in a show like ours to make a little mistake, be standing in the wrong place, and have an injury happen. And so I have learned that keeping your body and your mind ready to go at a moment's notice is actually of primary importance. One of my favorite stories about something going wrong actually happening was when we were still in previews. The first role that I ever went on for is the role of Jonathan. Now in our play, Jonathan is the dead body essentially that happens at the beginning of the murder mystery. And it is a very physical track and there are a lot of stunts. And because of my background, I'm like, okay, I got the physical stuff, I'm ready to go. But at the end of the show, there's this huge chunk of dialogue that he has, and it wraps up everything that you have been looking at in the play and the murder mystery the entire time. So every word is important, but I did not know all of the lines exactly yet because I've been studying for 5 different tracks. And so I didn't even have the proper costume pieces yet. So our wardrobe actually went to Macy's, I think, and found a purple jacket that somehow fit me miraculously and dressed me and made me look the part. And I went on stage and I did all the stunts. And then in Act 2, one of our stage managers was actually behind the set with the script, ready to go if I went up on my lines. The nice thing about the play that goes wrong, though, is that even when you call somebody the wrong name and say something completely out of the story, which I definitely did, nobody knows because it's the play that goes wrong and they think it's part of the show. So it was definitely exactly how I meant to do it.